All right, guys. Over at McDonald's. Look at that mobile over there. They're building it. Maybe they ran into some trouble. I don't know. But they're building it, man. A lot of stuff has to go into that because it's got gas pumps. You know. It's got a lot of things it has to pass. You know. All right, here we are, guys. We're at McDonald's. I was talking to a friend of mine before. I said, I'm going to go to McDonald's. I took off today because I had to do some blood work and I got a physical on Thursday. Good cup of coffee there, Mickey D. Because that coffee keeps moving. So I got a friend of mine and he goes, oh, what are you doing at McDonald's? I said, I'm going to go for a cup of coffee. He says, what are you going to do, talking to your phone? He knows I do the YouTube thing. He goes, people are going to do people look at you when you're talking into your phone? I said, probably. I don't care. Let them look. So anyway, yeah, I got a friend. He's going through a situation right now. The situation he's going through is he's got a bad knee, you know? So he's 59 years old. He drives a truck like me, tractor trailer, but he does freight. And for those who don't know what freight is, he does 20 stops a day, that kind of thing, maybe more. He goes behind buildings and hits docks, right? Goes into the trailer with a pallet jack and pulls off the stuff, or maybe a forklift goes on. That's freight. Freight is anything from, I don't know, cat litter to nuts and bolts for construction. I mean, everything. Freight is everything. This table is freight. This plastic is freight. Freight. That garbage pail is freight. This wrought iron here, freight. Everything over at that mobile is freight. When you deliver freight, for those young gals and young guys who don't know anything about trucking but you want to get into it, freight is everything. And freight is tough work. Sometimes your truck doesn't have air conditioning, or if the air conditioning goes, you can't call up your boss and say, it's hot, I'm sweating, I'm gonna go home. It's not, A truck driver is like a grunt in the Marines. I'm serious. You gotta work out in the rain, you gotta work out in the snow, you gotta work out in the freezing cold mornings, the hot, blistering, humid days, until your trailer is empty. That's the mission. If you come back crying because it's too hot, or it's too cold, or it's snowing, I can't see, my windshield wipers aren't working good, and you start crying like that, you know what they do? They take off your Timberland boots and they put a pair of loafers on. Penny loafers. Or loafers with tassels, those little loafers with little tassels, and they put you in the office and you answer phones. Hi, good morning. Where do you need your delivery? And that's what they'll put you as. But if you're going to be a truck driver, you got to be tough. It's loud over here. This is where I live. The town is called Loudsville. Loudsville, Long Island. Okay, anyway, so my friend is going through a situation where he's got a bad knee, he might have to get an operation, and he's basically afraid if he gets an operation, it might bounce him out of work, because even though you might be feeling better, you might have limitations. You can't jump in and out of the truck 50 times a day. Because you don't want to injure it and make it worse, and then you're going to be your retirement. You're going to walk around with a limp. Your banged out knee that you can't operate on again. So he's wondering, he's talking to his doctor and saying, hey, well, what do I do? The doctor's basically saying, how long do you want to work? Want to work 3 years, 4 years? Maybe the doctor will give you, I don't know, I'm just saying, some treatment to make it feel a little better. Cortisone shots, epidurals, I don't know. I have a bad back. I mean, I really hurt my back really bad. I got herniated disc. It's never gone away. And just to sum it up real quick, the last injury was about a year ago. I was injured for 10 months. I had a limp. I was leaning on furniture. Any of you guys that have bad back like that? And I don't even do freight anymore. I don't want to say where I work, but I work for a trucking company and I don't touch anything. The trailer is loaded and unloaded for me. I get to the destination, I stand outside. And that's just the way that company is. But with the way my back is, I could never do freight again. I hurt my back doing freight. Actually, I heard it 30 years ago. I fell off the top of a truck. Can you believe that? You know the roll-off containers? You tarp it, you lift them up like this and you pull the truck out. You see them at, well, there's one right across the street right now. Well, I was tarping it and I slipped and fell. Only fell like maybe, nothing, 7 feet. But I landed on my feet and I herniated a disc. And that's how it all started. And that put me out of work for 3 months at that time. The company had to let me go. I never went back. Herniated disc is the worst. But, you can't sit, can't stand, can't push, pull. You can't even sit on the toilet and go to the bathroom. I mean, your back is just killing you. Well, the last injury I had, I thought I was finished. I was in so much pain, I even asked the doctor for an operation. I said, can you operate? And he said, no, we don't need to do that. Physical therapy. But what he said to me was, if you get injured again, we'll go in and we'll operate a little bit because I'm getting older and it's just, it's not going to get any better. And then eventually, if you get too old, you can't even have the operation So this friend of mine, basically this is what I would tell him. You have the operation and you go to work, and if you can't work, you go out on disability. Hang in there for about 6 months or as long as you can, and if you can't finish, go out on disability, because this is the way it works with disability. Let's say you're 59, you're before 67, which is 100% Social Security age. And let's say at 67, you're gonna get, let's say $3,000 a month, okay? I don't think right now it's quite that, but let's just say, round it off. Well, if you go out at 59 or 60 on disability, they give you that $3,000 a month as if you were gonna work, because it's not your fault that you're disabled. So as if you were gonna work to 67, that's the amount you get, but that's all you get. You can't work a part-time job, right? Because you're disabled. And if you're only partially disabled, you're not gonna get the full amount. So that's the only downside. Yeah, they'll give him his $3,000 a month right now at 59 years old, but that's it. And if you're making $5,500 a month, you just cut your monthly income of $2,500 a month. So it's a tough call. But if you have the operation and you're hurting that bad, you just got to go out. Then I would sell my house, get a couple of $100,000 on that, put it under your arm. You know what I mean? Sit on that. You got your $3,000 a month. But I wouldn't do a part-time job. I know what a lot of you are saying. Oh, just work off the books. You cash off the books. You get busted doing that, like Beretta used to say. Remember, what's his name? Beretta, the TV show Beretta. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Don't do it. Well, it's starting to rain here, guys. Yeah. But I know how he feels. It's a tough call. He's got a bad knee. His problem is a knee. It's tough. I tell you, because if my back goes out again like it did a year ago, whew, and it didn't. Usually, it used to get better like in a month, 2 months. I'd do some stretching, maybe a little physical therapy, go to the chiropractor. But this last time, 10 months, almost a year, I was in pain. I couldn't. I really thought I was done. I said, man, I'm calling the doctor up saying, hey, doc, could you just operate? Could you just get it done? He goes, no, keep going to physical therapy. He kept asking for a new x-ray. He goes, yeah, it's protruding, but I don't want to operate just on that. Anyway, I don't know if this particular episode was entertaining or had anything to do with most of you. I know usually you love when I cook. You love my cooking shows. I can't wait for that mobile to open up, huh? We'll go in there and we'll check out the mobile coffee. All right, guys. Coming to you from McDonald's. There's the arches. Subscribe. Hit that thumbs up. All right, and I'll get back to you. Thank you.